Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Speak Slow English channel. I'm your host, Emma.
And I'm Alex. It is awesome to be here with you all today. We have a very special episode planned for you.
That's right. Today, we are going to dive deep into English conversation skills. We're not just going to teach you vocabulary lists. We are going to show you how to actually keep a conversation going, how to sound natural, and how to stop translating in your head.
Exactly. By the end of this episode, you will learn how to start a conversation with strangers comfortably, how to use specific techniques to keep talking, and most importantly, how to build confidence.
So before we start, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a lesson.
All right, let's get straight into the main topic.
You know, Alex, the biggest problem I hear from our students isn't that they don't know grammar rules. It's that they freeze up when they have to start a conversation. They call it going blank.
Oh, totally. That happens to everyone, even native speakers sometimes. But in a second language, that silence feels so much louder and scarier. I think the key to fixing this is mastering the icebreaker.
Right, the icebreaker. For our listeners who might not know this idiom, an icebreaker is just a phrase or question used to start a conversation and relieve tension. Alex, what is your number one strategy for this?
Well, I actually use a technique called the observation method. Instead of memorizing a script like, "Hello, how are you?" I simply look around my environment and comment on something we are both experiencing right now.
Can you give us a concrete example? Let's pretend we are waiting in line at a coffee shop.
Okay, sure. So if I'm standing behind you, I might look at the menu on the wall and say, "Wow, the line is super long today. Do you think the coffee here is actually worth the wait?"
That's a really good one, because it invites me to share an opinion, right? It's not just a yes or no question.
Exactly. If I just said, "Is the line long?" you would say, "Yes," and the conversation dies immediately. But asking if it's worth it opens a door for you to speak.
So the rule here is make a statement about the situation, then ask an open-ended question.
Spot on. But what if you are in a more formal situation, like a business meeting or a professional networking event? You can't really complain about the coffee line there.
True. In professional settings, I prefer the connection method. I try to find a common link between us. For example, I might ask, "So, how did you hear about this event?" Or, "What brings you to the city today?"
I like that. "What brings you here?" is such a classic, useful phrase. It sounds friendly, but still very polite.
Right, and it gives the other person a chance to tell a short story. And that actually leads us to the next big challenge, keeping the conversation alive once it has started.
Ah, the dreaded awkward silence. This is where most learners get stuck.
Yes, so Alex, imagine I answered your question. I said, "I'm here for work." If you just say, "Okay," the chat is over. What should you do instead?
You need to use the Ford method.
The Ford method? I think our listeners would love to hear about this. What does FORD stand for?
It's a lifesaver for small talk. It is an acronym that stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Dreams. These are 4 safe topics you can almost always talk about with anyone.
Okay, let's break that down. Family is obvious, asking about siblings or kids. Occupation is work. But let's practice recreation. That means hobbies, right?
Yes, hobbies or what you do for fun. So let's roleplay this. You just told me you are here for work. Now, I want to switch to recreation. I might say, "Since you're here for work, have you had any time to explore the city or do anything fun yet?"
Oh, that flows very naturally. I would answer, "Actually, yes. I went to the art museum downtown yesterday. It was amazing."
See? Now we are talking about art. We moved from a boring topic like work to something you are passionate about. That is how you build a real connection.
And notice, guys, Alex is using a very friendly tone. His voice goes up at the end of the questions. Intonation is super important here. If you sound like a robot, people won't want to talk to you.
That is a great point. You have to sound interested. If you are not interested, the other person will feel it.
Now, let's move to a slightly more advanced technique. What happens if the other person is talking and you want to show them you are listening, but you don't know what to say?
That is called active listening. And the best trick for this is the mirror technique, or echoing.
Echoing. That sounds interesting. How does it work?
It is very simple. You just repeat the last few words the person said, but you say it like a question.
Can we demonstrate that? Tell me something random about your week.
Okay, last week was crazy. I tried to fix my car engine by myself, and it was a total disaster.
A total disaster?
Yeah, I accidentally disconnected the wrong wire, and the car wouldn't start for 2 days.
2 days?
Yes, I had to take the bus to work.
See what I did there, listeners? I didn't really add any new information. I just repeated a total disaster and 2 days with a questioning tone.
And honestly, it worked. It made me want to give you more details. It made me feel like you were genuinely surprised and interested in my story.
Exactly. This is perfect for English learners because it buys you time to think. You don't need to find a new vocabulary word immediately. You just explore the current topic deeper.
So, let's recap what we have covered so far in this first section. We have the icebreaker using observation.
We have the Ford method to find topics: family, occupation, recreation, dreams.
And we have the mirror technique to keep the flow going without stress.
These 3 tools alone can transform your confidence. But Alex, there is one more thing we need to discuss today. What about transitions? How do we change the topic smoothly without it being weird?
That is a tough one. Usually when learners change the topic, they just stop and say something totally different, like, "The weather is nice. Do you like pizza?"
Laughs. Yeah, that sounds very robotic. Do you like pizza? Came out of nowhere.
Exactly. To fix this, we need bridge phrases. A bridge phrase connects 2 ideas. For example, speaking of food, or that reminds me of,
Oh, that reminds me of is my favorite. It is so versatile.
let's try it. Hey, tell me about that art museum you mentioned earlier.
Well, the museum had this incredible exhibit on modern photography. It was really inspiring.
That sounds cool. Speaking of photography, have you seen the new camera that just came out? I heard it's great for portraits.
Smooth. You used speaking of to jump from my story about a museum to your topic about technology or cameras.
And it didn't feel rude, right?
Not at all. It felt like a natural progression of the conversation.
So listeners, write these down. Speaking of, that reminds me of, and by the way, usually used to change direction slightly.
All right, we have covered a lot of strategies in just the first few minutes, but we are not done yet. Next, we are going to talk about how to express your opinion politely, especially when you disagree.
That's a critical skill. Disagreeing in English can be scary because you don't want to sound rude. We will teach you how to do it softly.
Welcome back to part 2 of our deep dive into conversation skills. Before the break, we talked about starting conversations and keeping them alive. Now we are entering dangerous territory: disagreement.
Laughs, danger zone. But seriously, this is where many English learners get nervous. In some cultures, being direct is normal. But in English, especially in the US or UK, saying "you are wrong" or "I don't agree" can sound very aggressive/rude.
Exactly. If I say, Titanic is the best movie ever, and you just say, no, it's not. It's boring. Ouch, that hurts my feelings a little bit. It shuts down the conversation.
Right. So we need to learn softening phrases. These act like a cushion. They make your disagreement feel softer and more polite.
Alex, what is your favorite softener when you want to disagree with someone?
I usually start with validation. I use the phrase, "I see your point, but," or "I understand where you're coming from, however."
That word, however, is magical. It sounds so professional. Let's try a role play. I'm going to give a controversial opinion, and you have to disagree with me politely. Ready?
Ready? Hit me.
Okay. I think working from home is bad. Everyone should go back to the office 5 days a week.
Ooh, that is controversial. Okay, here is my reply. I see your point about office culture being important. Actually, I feel that working from home makes people more productive.
Nice. You acknowledged my point first. I see your point. And then you used actually to introduce your opposite opinion. It didn't feel like a fight. It felt like a discussion.
Another great phrase is, "I'm not sure I agree with that." It is much softer than "I disagree."
Yes. I'm not sure. Adds a little doubt, which makes you sound humble, not arrogant.
Listeners, try to avoid the word wrong. Instead of "you are wrong," say "I have a different perspective."
I have a different perspective. I love that. It sounds very mature. Short pause.
All right, let's shift gears to something more fun. Storytelling.
Yes, everyone loves a good story. But sometimes, when learners tell a story in English, it sounds like a list of facts. I went to the store, I bought milk, I came home.
Laughs. It's grammatically correct, but it puts people to sleep. How do we make our stories pop? How do we make people lean in and listen?
The first secret is the hook. You need to start your story with a sentence that grabs attention immediately.
Like a movie trailer?
Exactly. Don't start with last Tuesday I woke up. Start with the conflict or the emotion. For example, you will never believe who I ran into yesterday, or I had the scariest experience of my life last week.
Oh, I immediately want to know, who did you run into? Or why was it scary?
That's the point. You create curiosity. So, Emma, do you have a quick story for us? Try to use a hook.
Okay, let me think. All right, here is my hook. I once was almost arrested in a foreign country because of a sandwich.
What? Arrested because of a sandwich? Okay, now I have to hear this. Tell me more.
Laughs. See, it worked. So, a few years ago, I was traveling in Italy. I was so hungry that I bought a panini and sat on the steps of a historical fountain to eat it. Suddenly, a police officer came over, blowing a whistle.
Oh no, let me guess. Eating on the fountain is illegal?
Exactly, but I didn't know. He started speaking very fast in Italian. I was terrified. Eventually, a nice local lady explained it to me. I apologized, threw the sandwich away, and he let me go. But for a minute, I thought I was going to jail.
That is a great story. And notice, listeners, Emma used words like suddenly and eventually. These are called signpost words.
Right. Signpost words tell the listener where the story is going. First sets the scene. Suddenly introduces the problem. Then shows the action. Finally, or in the end, gives the resolution.
Without these words, the story feels messy. With them, it flows like a river.
Another tip for storytelling: use sensory details. Don't just say, the sandwich was good. Say, the cheese was melting and it smelled like fresh basil.
Now I'm hungry. But yes, details paint a picture in the listener's mind.
So, to recap this section: 1. Disagree politely. Use I see your point, but, or I'm not sure I agree. 2. Storytelling. Start with a hook. You won't believe this. Use signpost words, suddenly then, and add sensory details.
These skills, disagreeing and storytelling, are what take you from intermediate to advanced. This is how you make friends, not just exchange information.
Absolutely. Now, Alex, we have covered a lot, but there is one final piece of the puzzle. How do we exit a conversation gracefully? You can't just say bye and walk away.
True. The exit strategy is crucial. If you do it wrong, it's awkward. If you do it right, you leave a great impression.
We are going to cover the perfect exit strategy and give you a final conversation checklist in the next and final part of this episode.
You don't want to miss that. We will also share a few common mistakes to avoid.
Welcome back to the final part of today's episode. We have covered how to start a conversation, how to keep it interesting with stories, and how to disagree without fighting.
Now, we face the final boss, leaving the conversation.
Oh, this is awkward for so many people. Have you ever been stuck talking to someone and you really need to go, but you don't know how to stop?
All the time, and you end up just nodding your head while looking for an escape route. It's terrible, but there is a formula to exit gracefully without being rude.
What is the formula, Alex?
It's called the signal, reason, and future method.
Okay, break it down for us. Step 1, the signal.
You can't just say bye. That is too abrupt. You need to signal that the conversation is ending. You can use phrases like, well, it was great connecting with you, or, anyway, I don't want to keep you.
I don't want to keep you is my favorite. It sounds like you are being considerate of their time, even though you're the one who wants to leave.
Exactly. It's polite reverse psychology. Step 2 is the reason. You need a small excuse. It doesn't have to be a big lie. Just say, I need to go grab some food, or I have to get back to work, or my friend is waiting for me.
Simple enough. And step 3, the future.
This is where you leave the door open. You say, let's catch up later, or enjoy the rest of the party, or I'll see you around.
So let's put it all together in a role play. Alex, we are at a party. You want to leave? Go.
Okay. Clears throat. Anyway, Emma, it was really fun hearing about your travels. Signal. But I actually promised my friend I'd help him with something over there. Reason. So, I better get going. I'll catch you later, okay? Future.
That was perfect. I don't feel rejected at all. I feel like we had a good chat, and now you are just moving on.
Precisely. The goal is to leave them feeling good, not confused. Brief pause.
Before we wrap up this episode, let's quickly talk about 3 common mistakes that ruin conversations.
Mistake number 1, the interviewer mode. This is when you ask too many questions back to back without sharing anything about yourself. What is your name? Where do you live? Do you like pizza?
Yeah, that feels like an interrogation by the police. A conversation should be like a game of ping pong. I hit the ball, you hit it back. I share a fact, you share a fact. Don't just ask questions, share your own answers too.
Mistake number 2, being a one-word wonder. A. Did you have a good weekend?
Yes? Ada. Did you do anything fun? Beep. No.
Ugh, that is painful. Always add one extra detail, even if the answer is no. Say, no, I actually just stayed home and watched Netflix. I was super tired. That gives me something to work with.
And finally, mistake number 3, fear of silence.
This is a big one. Learners panic if there is a 2-second silence. Guys, silence is okay. It means you are thinking. You can even say, let me think about that for a second. It shows confidence.
Absolutely. Don't rush. Speaking slower actually makes you sound more intelligent and in control. Music starts fading in slowly, inspirational/upbeat.
Wow, we have covered a massive amount of ground today, from the icebreaker to the Ford method, echoing, storytelling, and finally, the perfect exit.
If you only take one thing away from this episode, let it be this. Conversation is not about perfect grammar. It is about connection.
Yes, people won't remember if you use the wrong preposition, but they will remember how you made them feel. Did you listen? Did you smile? Were you interested? That is what matters.
So, here's your homework for this week. We want you to go out and start a conversation with one new person. It could be a cashier, a colleague, or someone online.
Use the observation method. Comment on the weather, the long line, or the coffee. Just try it. And if you do, come back to this video and leave a comment telling us how it went.
We read every single comment, and we want to hear your success stories.
Thank you so much for listening to Speak Slow English. I'm Emma.
And Anishiburi. Alex,
Keep practicing, stay curious, and speak with confidence.
see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye, everyone.